how to gain muscle. So gaining muscle is referred to in the science world as hypertrophy. Now hypertrophy means making things bigger. So in order for hypertrophy to occur, we need to create an anabolic environment. Now, we all know metabolism. We're all familiar with the term metabolism. There's two types of metabolism. There's catabolism and anabolism. Now, catabolism means the breakdown of fat and the breakdown of muscle tissue, and anabolism means the building of gaining of fat and building of muscle. Now, depending on our diet and our training will depend on what we do more of. Now, it's important to note that catabolism and anabolism occur simultaneously. We don't ever just do one or the other. They both happen at the same time. In what ratio will depend on the environment. Now, in order to create an anabolic environment, we generally need caloric surplus. We need to be consuming more calories than our body requires to maintain its weight. So we need to consume more calories. We need to progressively overload the muscle. So over time, we need to do more. We need to do more sets, reps, more weights, increase the range, increase the intensity of the workouts. We need to do more. There needs to be progression because our body will adapt to a stimulus. So we have to progress over time. So we need to train consistently with good technique. So that's caloric surplus, train frequently, good technique, progressively overload the muscle. We also need to consume enough protein. Now, our body constantly turns over protein, protein breaks down, protein rebuilds. Now, that's referred to as, the building of protein is referred to as muscle protein synthesis. In order to optimize muscle protein synthesis, we need to consume enough protein. Now, this does vary from person to person depending on activity level. Generally speaking, for somebody who wants to gain muscle and gain size, we want to be looking at 2 to 2.5 grams of protein per kilo body weight. So for a 60 kilo woman, we're roughly looking around 120 grams to 150 grams of protein for her per day. Okay, so we need adequate protein, train consistently, with good technique, progressively overload the muscle, caloric surplus. We need to get enough sleep because sleep generates the growth hormone to repair and recover. If we don't get enough sleep, our body simply won't repair itself. So what we do is we cause micro tears in the gym, our muscles damage, and then they repair when we eat, sleep and recover. So we have to be careful we don't do too much volume because we can put ourselves at risk of overtraining, which will lead to muscle breakdown. But we also need to apply enough stimulus, enough volume to create enough reason for the muscle to grow. So it's a very fine line between the volume. You kind of have to play around with it. If you're finding you're frequently getting injured and tired, then you're either not getting the right nutrients in your body, you're not sleeping enough, or your stress is too high. Stress, we want to manage stress. That also have an impact. Fluid intake and your quantity of micronutrients. So we need to get, it is very helpful to make sure we get enough fruit and veggies in the body. It's not the number one factor, so protein and training will be the key elements to this. And it's important to know there's 3 elements to hypertrophy. There's mechanical tension, metabolic stress and muscle damage. Muscle damage happens when we lift weights. Metabolic stress is the pump when we do high rep work and we fill the muscle with blood and water, called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. So we cause the sarcoplasm to increase. That's temporary adaptation. That is one thing. And mechanical tension, which will be the weight that we lift, the resistance and the progressive overload of that. So those are all the factors that we need to make sure we hit in order to gain muscle tissue. And we need to remember that in the beginning, we can gain quite a lot of muscle tissue quite quickly if we do the right things. And over time, it becomes harder and harder. After 3 years plus, we become advanced lifters. As long as you were lifting properly and consistently, it becomes harder and harder to build that muscle tissue. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, guys.